Hey guys, it's Kristen here, and in today's vlog, I want to talk with y'all about good questions to ask early in the relationship. I know that navigating the relationship process, and especially those early stages, the early weeks and months of the beginning of a relationship, can be really complicated and really confusing because you're both interested, there's an attraction, you're drawn to each other, and now you're trying to figure out, okay, is this really gonna work? Could I actually see myself with this person long term? Do we jive? Do we have things in common? Do we have similar goals and visions? And it can be hard sometimes to know how to navigate that. Something that someone had advised Zach and me early in our relationship that really helped us just take things to a deeper level, more of a heart level, was this. They said, ask good questions. You know, you're gonna have a lot of conversations. You're gonna be talking a lot, spending a lot of time together. And those questions and that conversation can either stay kind of surface, or you can both be really intentional to ask questions that will take deeper dives, that will explore more about who the other person is, where they've been, what they've learned, their past experiences, and ultimately what's led them to be the person that they are today. And that advice was so good. And it really took Zach and me on this journey of research. Like, well, what are good questions to ask? Because honestly, I wasn't really sure. Like, I could think of some, but I knew there were a lot more. And so as we studied and researched and found good questions online, as we're reading like really solid marriage books, they were bringing up questions. And through those questions, we were able to ask each other things that honestly took the relationship to a much deeper level. In fact, so deep that we were truly getting to know the genuine, authentic person, the heart of who each of us was. And as we asked those questions and dove deeper in our relationship, that really helped us discern over time if we were a good fit for one another, if I really wanted to spend the rest of my life with Zach, if he really wanted to spend the rest of his life with me, because we were learning who the real person was. And so as you're navigating the relationship, you might be wondering the same thing. What are good questions to ask? And so I just want to talk quickly about some really key essential questions that you can ask early in the relationship. So in our new book, actually, Love Defined, Embracing God's Vision for Lasting Love and Satisfying Relationships, the book that Bethany and I co-authored, y'all have heard us talk about it. So in the very back, and some of you, if you have the book, you might not even know it's there, but Appendix B, actually, we made a list, 50 questions to ask early in the relationship. So we took all the things that we've learned over the years and we compiled it into a list of what we think are 50 really good questions to ask early in the relationship. So not just down the road, but like more at the beginning of the relationship so you can begin taking that deeper dive and getting to know the person. And we broke this list of 50 questions into 5 different categories. And so what I'm going to do is quickly share each of the categories with you and then give you kind of a nutshell, a few of the questions from each of the categories to kind of get your wheels turning on good questions that you can ask. The first section we called general questions to ask him. So these are questions that you as the girl in the relationship can be thinking, okay, these are some good ones that I could be asking him just naturally in conversation, or you could just bring it up and say, hey, I have a few questions. So here's just some of the things that we wrote down. Why do you want to be in a relationship with me? That might seem super basic, but that would be really interesting to ask him. Why do you want to be in a relationship with me? And then he might ask you the same question back. That'll just give you a little bit of a deeper peek inside what he's thinking. Here's another one. What does your vision of a happy family look like? You know, we all come from such different backgrounds, different family experiences, that one person's vision of a happy family might be really different than someone else's. And that would be a good thing to kind of get that vision of future of like, what does your vision of a happy family look like? Or how about this one? How would you maintain purity in a relationship? So just asking, taking that deeper question of purity, of morality, sexuality, just how would you maintain purity in a relationship? What does that look like to you? Is it important to you? Because it may not be. And that would be something good for you to know up front. Or how about this? What are your viewpoints on politics? Now, there's a lot of questions in this section. I'm just pulling some random ones. But that's an interesting question, right? Because politics, it can be so controversial. It obviously is extremely controversial. And so you finding out what his views are, what your views are, you might discover that y'all are landing on some very different pages, and that might be hard to work through in the relationship. The next section we have listed is called spiritual questions to ask him. And some of the things that we wrote down are, can you explain the gospel to me? So just a question to get to know, like, does he understand the gospel? If you're a genuine Christ follower, a genuine believer, then it's probably very important to you that he would be a genuine Christ follower as well. And so for you to be able to ask, can you explain the gospel to me? What does the gospel mean to you? How do you see that being lived out? That'll help you see kind of his perspective and where he stands on that. Or how about this? What is your view on church involvement? So the local church, God's structure for Christians to grow, to thrive, to serve in. What's his view on that? Or how would you lead your family spiritually? So asking a question further down the road thinking, okay, what does that look like? And you're not looking for perfect answers. You're not looking for the right answer. You're just looking to get to know their heart. What did they think about these things? You're creating dialogue. You're creating conversation. The next section that we talk about is questions to ask each other. And we have quite a few listed in here. And these are questions that would be awesome, maybe even a little further into the relationship. You could even print this page out and you could ask each other these questions and get to know where you both stand on some of these things. So first one, what is your testimony? And by that, we mean, what is your testimony story of like when Christ saved you, when you became a Christian? When did that happen? Was it from the time you were young, you grew up in a Christian family, and then like what does that look like now? Or maybe you got saved more recently. So just hearing their testimony, hearing their journey of how Christ has been working in their life. Another great question to ask, what are your views on health and exercise? I know this is more surface and basic, but it can be pretty interesting as I've talked to couples to hear that some of them will have such different views on this that it really will long-term create a lot of conflict and friction. And so from the beginning, kind of getting like an insight on where you both stand on that could be helpful. What is your perspective on finances and debt? Another really good question to find out where you both stand. Now moving into the next section, questions to ask those who know him well. When you're in a relationship, you're in it, right? And it's you and him, and you can get so focused on the here and now and who this person is right in front of you, who you imagine them to be, or who, if you're infatuated, you might both not have a great perspective of who you really are. And so it's really good to step outside of that bubble of the two of you and really go to people who know this guy, who maybe grew up with him, maybe family, maybe his close friends, maybe mentors from his church, or people that just know him from work, wherever, and just say like, hey, I'm getting to know this guy, we're in a relationship, and I was just wondering if there were some things I could ask you about him. I would love to get to know more about who he is. And so this could be very insightful, and I know it has been for people who have done this. First one, just, is he a man worth getting to know? So maybe it's early in the relationship and you say you go to someone in his church that knows him really well, and you could just ask, like, is he worth getting to know from what you've seen of him and his character and his habits and who he is as a person? Would you say he's like a great option to get to know? Another one, what cautions or red flags do I need to know about him? So asking someone who knows him really well, are there any cautions or red flags that you would just say, hey, I've seen this in his life, just, be watching for this or ask him more questions about this. I'm not sure where he is on this. And that could help like, okay, there are some things I need to ask here. Can you see the two of us making a great marriage? So maybe a little bit further down the road, you're thinking more, okay, yeah, I could possibly see this going somewhere, but I don't know if other people feel the same. And so asking someone who knows maybe both of you well, like, could you actually see us together making a great marriage? And the last section that we have in this appendix is called questions you need to figure out. So these are things that just on your own, you need to sit down and really pray through, wrestle with, and ask yourself and find answers to. One, why do I like him? Just asking yourself that truly and genuinely, why do I like this guy? Why do I want to be in a relationship with him? Are my motivations rooted in the right things? Or is it just rooted in my identity? I want to have a boyfriend, or he's cute, he makes me look good. I'm more popular when I'm with him. I like having a date on Friday nights. Really ask yourself, like, search your heart. Why do I actually like him? Does he push me closer to Christ? That's a question that you need to wrestle with in this relationship with this guy. Is he pushing me closer to Christ? Are we becoming stronger spiritually, growing and maturing? Or is he kind of dragging me down? Am I dragging him down? Are we pulling each other further away from our relationship with Christ as a result of being together? Is now a good time for us to be in a relationship? That is a really good question to ask, because I know sometimes for me, I wanted to be in a relationship when I was single, but I'm so glad God didn't open any doors for that, because in those seasons, I wasn't ready. My heart wasn't in the right place. It would not have been a good thing for me. And so really evaluate, is this actually a good time for me in this season of life, my maturity level in these circumstances, where I'm at, where I'm going? Is this a good time to be in a relationship? What do his priorities reveal about his character? So sometimes it can be hard to evaluate someone's character, like, well, I don't know, he seems really nice, but the way we can evaluate is by looking for all of us at the priorities in our lives. That will really tell us where our priorities, where our character is, and where somebody else's are by watching the things that they most value, the things that they invest their time in, the things that they most cherish, that they find most important, the things they're always talking about. That will kind of clue you in on what's important to this guy and kind of give you some cues onto where his character's at. Just a few more. What do the people closest to me think about this relationship? That is such a key question to ask. And I know one I didn't often want to ask, because I'm thinking like, okay, I'm in this relationship. I like this guy. I don't really care what other people think. But the truth is, when we're in the relationship, like I said, we can be blinded by infatuation and we can often not see some of the most obvious things that are problems that other people can see because they're on the outside. So rather than pushing people away, I just want to encourage you to bring people in. Don't isolate yourselves. Bring wisdom in. Bring people in on the outside and invite their input. Ask them questions. In the long run, you want to have a great, long-term, satisfying marriage, right? I mean, ultimately, isn't that what we would all long for? And so the goal now in the relationship stage is to figure out, would we actually be a great fit for one another? So bring those people in, ask them what they think about the relationship. And then lastly, just be really honest with yourself and ask yourself, what cautions or red flags do I have? You need to really ask yourself, do I have red flags? Do I have concerns that nobody else knows about? And then you need to take those, and I encourage you to go to someone who's older and wiser, a godly woman who you can say, I have these red flags, I have these struggles, I haven't told anyone. Can you help me work through these? Maybe they're not a big deal, but maybe they are. Can you just help me look in God's word and figure out what to do with these, and if I should be concerned and where the relationship should go to next? So that was just a fast and furious flyover of some of the 50 questions that we have in the back of Love Defined, 50 questions to ask early in the relationship. And I just gave you a super quick flyover of what some of those questions are. But I hope this is just getting your wheels turning and helping you realize and think, okay, asking questions is good, but it's even better to ask really good questions, right? So questions that are going to take you to a deeper level, that are going to help both of you in this romantic relationship get to know the heart of one another. For a complete list of questions, obviously you can find them in the back of Love Defined. And I encourage you to grab a copy if you're in a romantic relationship. If you want to be someday in a romantic relationship, this book, we wrote it to help you navigate that path in a God-honoring way and just to gain clarity and vision for what a godly relationship could even look like. Thank you so much for watching this video. If you liked it, I would love it if you'd give me a thumbs up. And if you want to see more videos from the Girl Defined channel, normally it's me and Bethany, then you could just subscribe to our channel below because we post brand new videos every Wednesday. And also, if you really like this YouTube channel and you've been personally encouraged and inspired by it, then I just want to ask you to come on over to patreon.com because like anything, this takes work and time and effort and research to produce these videos, and we absolutely love doing it, but we really can't do it without you. And so many of you have come over to Patreon and you've just sponsored like $1, $2 a video and said, I love this channel. I want to support what you guys are doing. I'm going to get behind you financially to help continue making this channel a possibility. So if that sounds like something that you would love to partner with us in, then would you just jump on over to patreon.com and you can find more information by clicking the link below.